If you enjoyed this audiobook, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge. And when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the audiobook. Chapter 1, Why Bother? Part 1, Dreaming Beyond 9 to 5. Each morning, millions of people around the world wake up to the same haunting realization. They're trading the majority of their conscious hours for a paycheck that never seems to grow. Research from Gallup shows that only 20% of employees worldwide feel truly engaged at work, leaving 80% of the global workforce essentially sleepwalking through their careers, while secretly wondering if there's something better waiting beyond their current reality. Michelle Chen discovered this truth during her third year as a marketing coordinator at a Fortune 500 company. Despite earning a decent salary and receiving regular performance reviews praising her dedication, she found herself staring at spreadsheets each Tuesday afternoon, feeling an inexplicable emptiness. The breaking point came during a team meeting when her manager casually mentioned that their biggest client campaign, one Michelle had spent months perfecting, would likely be forgotten within a year. That's when the question first whispered in her mind, what if there's more to life than this? Tim Ferriss writes extensively about this phenomenon in The 4-Hour Workweek, describing it as the moment when people realize they're living someone else's dream while postponing their own. Michelle's story mirrors thousands of others who've reached this crossroads. David Kim, a software engineer in Seattle, experienced his awakening during a company-wide layoff announcement. While he kept his job, watching colleagues pack their desks after years of loyal service made him question the security he'd always assumed his position provided. These moments of clarity often arrive disguised as ordinary frustrations. Chris Guillebeau, in his research for Side Hustle, interviewed hundreds of people who successfully built alternative income streams. He found that most began their journeys not with grand entrepreneurial visions, but with simple dissatisfaction about their current circumstances. Some felt undervalued despite consistent hard work. Others grew tired of asking permission to take vacation days or felt constrained by rigid corporate structures that stifled their creativity. The emotional triggers that spark this questioning vary, but the underlying theme remains consistent: a growing awareness that traditional employment offers limited upside potential. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad popularized the concept of trading time for money as an inherently flawed approach to building wealth. When you're paid by the hour or receive a fixed salary, your income has a ceiling determined by someone else's budget rather than your own effort and creativity. Sarah Martinez, a high school teacher from Phoenix, experienced this limitation firsthand. Despite earning a master's degree and receiving tenure, her salary increases barely kept pace with inflation. She watched her expenses grow while her income remained essentially flat. Realizing that decades of dedication to her profession would never provide the financial freedom she desired for her family. What transforms these feelings of frustration into motivation is the gradual understanding that alternatives exist. The internet has democratized opportunity in ways previous generations couldn't imagine. Joel Combs' research in Kaching demonstrates how ordinary people now create digital products, build online communities, and generate revenue streams that work independently of their physical presence or daily time investment. The question, what if there's more to life than this, becomes less philosophical and more practical when you start seeing real examples of people who've answered it through action rather than endless contemplation. Part 2. Discovering the Side Hustle Spirit. When researchers at Stanford studied what separated successful entrepreneurs from those who remained stuck in unfulfilling jobs, they discovered something remarkable. It wasn't intelligence, capital, or connections that made the difference. The distinguishing factor was what they called entrepreneurial curiosity, a specific mindset that views everyday problems as potential opportunities. This mindset forms the heart of what we call the side hustle spirit. It's not about having brilliant business ideas or revolutionary innovations. Instead, It's about developing the mental muscles of resourcefulness, pattern recognition, and comfortable experimentation. Chris Guillebeau documented this phenomenon extensively while researching his book, The $100 Startup, finding that successful side hustlers shared 3 common traits. They noticed things others overlooked. They weren't afraid to test small ideas, and they treated failures as data rather than disasters. Consider Sarah Blakely's story. While working as a door-to-door fax machine salesperson, she became frustrated with pantyhose that didn't fit properly under white pants. Rather than simply complaining like millions of other women, she channeled that frustration into curiosity. What if she cut the feet off pantyhose? That simple experiment, born from everyday annoyance, eventually became Spanx, a billion-dollar company. Blakely's transformation didn't happen because she possessed some special entrepreneurial gene. It happened because she developed the habit of asking, "What if?" instead of accepting, "That's just how things are." The side hustle spirit thrives on what Tim Ferriss calls small experiments with big upside potential. This approach removes the intimidating pressure of launching a perfect business and replaces it with manageable tests. David Lindahl, author of The Six-Figure Second Income, tracked hundreds of people who built substantial side businesses and found they typically started with what he termed starter ideas, simple solutions to problems they personally experienced. These starter ideas often appeared deceptively ordinary. James Clear began by writing about habits for a small email list of friends. Pat Flynn started by creating a study guide for architecture exams after getting laid off. Michelle Schroeder Gardner began documenting her debt payoff journey on a blog called Making Sense of Sense. None of these individuals had grand visions of building empires. They simply possessed the curiosity to explore whether their small ideas could help others. What transforms starter ideas into next-level ventures is persistence combined with systematic improvement. The side hustle spirit embraces what Joel Comm calls iteration over perfection. Each small success builds confidence for slightly bigger experiments. Each failure provides valuable feedback for course correction. This mindset shift, from seeking the perfect opportunity to creating opportunities through action, represents the fundamental difference between dreamers and doers. The beauty of developing this spirit lies not just in potential financial returns, but in personal transformation. Every small experiment builds your tolerance for uncertainty, sharpens your problem-solving skills, and expands your sense of what's possible. You begin to see opportunities everywhere because you've trained yourself to look for them. The question becomes, what small experiment could you start this week? Part 3. Turning frustration into motivation. When Chris Gardner slept in a subway bathroom with his toddler son, he wasn't planning his next career move. He was simply trying to survive. Yet that rock-bottom moment became the catalyst for his transformation from homeless salesman to millionaire stockbroker. The pain of his circumstances didn't paralyze him, it propelled him forward. Most people try to escape frustration by distracting themselves or complaining to friends. But what if that discomfort you feel about your financial situation, your dead-end job, or your lack of control over your schedule is actually trying to tell you something important? What if it's your internal compass pointing toward change? Consider Sarah Blakely, who spent years selling fax machines door to door. She wasn't passionate about office equipment, she was frustrated by pantyhose that never fit right. Instead of accepting this daily annoyance, she channeled that irritation into cutting the feet off pantyhose and creating Spanx. Her frustration became her fortune, turning a $5,000 investment into a billion-dollar company. The difference between people who stay stuck and those who break free often comes down to how they interpret their discomfort. Tim Ferriss describes his pre-entrepreneur days working 14-hour days at a tech startup, feeling trapped and miserable. That frustration led him to question everything about traditional work models and eventually create automated businesses that generated income while he traveled the world. Your frustrations are data points. When you feel annoyed about missing your child's soccer game because of mandatory overtime, that's information. When you calculate how many years it will take to pay off debt at your current salary, That anxiety is feedback. When you lie awake wondering if you'll ever have financial security, that worry is a signal. David Lindahl was drowning in credit card debt, working multiple jobs just to make minimum payments. Instead of viewing his financial stress as a life sentence, he used it as fuel. He studied real estate investing during every spare moment, started with a small duplex, and eventually built a portfolio generating 6 figures annually in passive income. The key is asking better questions. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" try, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of, "I can't afford to take risks," consider, "What small risk could I take this month?" Your current pain points often reveal your future profit points. Take 15 minutes to write down everything that frustrates you about your current situation. Don't filter or judge, just dump it all on paper. Now look at each frustration and ask, what would need to change for this not to be a problem? Often, the answers point directly toward business opportunities or income streams you hadn't considered. Your frustration isn't your enemy, it's your fuel. The question isn't whether you'll face setbacks and disappointments, you will. The question is whether you'll let them stop you or use them as stepping stones towards something better. Part 4. The moment it clicked. When Pat Flynn discovered that his architecture firm was laying off employees in 2008, he felt that familiar knot in his stomach. But instead of just updating his resume like everyone else, something different happened. Sitting at his computer one evening, he decided to create a simple website sharing everything he'd learned about passing the LEED exam, not because he had a business plan, but because he wanted to help other architects avoid the stress he'd experienced. That moment of deciding to help rather than just survive changed everything. Within months, his little website was generating thousands of dollars monthly through affiliate commissions and his own study guides. Flynn had stumbled into what would become smart passive income, eventually replacing his corporate salary entirely. But the real transformation wasn't financial, it was mental. He realized that solutions to his own problems could become solutions for thousands of others. These breakthrough moments rarely arrive with fanfare. Sarah Marquis was folding laundry when she noticed how difficult it was to find stylish, comfortable nursing clothes. Instead of just complaining to friends, she spent that evening sketching designs on napkins. Within 2 years, her nursing apparel line was generating 6 figures annually. The key wasn't her fashion background, she had none, but her willingness to act when insight struck. Chris Guillebeau documented hundreds of similar stories for The $100 Startup, finding that most successful side hustlers shared one trait. They recognized their moment and moved quickly. Whether it was spotting inefficiency at work, solving their own problem, or simply deciding they'd had enough of depending solely on their paycheck, they all had that instant when possibility became real. The difference between dreamers and doers often comes down to recognizing these moments. Michael Dunlop was working his corporate job when he realized he spent hours each week researching WordPress plugins and themes. That evening, he registered a domain name and started documenting his findings. His WordPress tutorial site now generates substantial passive income through affiliate marketing and courses. What makes these moments click? Often, it's the intersection of preparation and opportunity. You've been building skills, knowledge, or connections without realizing it. Then something, a conversation, a problem, a random observation, connects the dots. Suddenly, that expertise you take for granted looks like a potential income stream. Tim Ferriss calls this scratching your own itch, solving problems you already understand deeply. When you're intimately familiar with a challenge, you naturally know what solutions would work. More importantly, you can spot when existing solutions fall short. The moment it clicks isn't always about discovering something new. Sometimes it's about giving yourself permission to try. After years of making custom jewelry for friends, Jessica decided to list a few pieces on Etsy, not because she had a grand business plan, but because someone suggested it and she thought, why not? Your moment might be reading this right now. Chapter 2. Finding Your Spark. Part 1. Uncovering hidden talents. When Michael Perry told his friends he was selling mustache wax made in his Brooklyn apartment, they laughed. 5 years later, he sold his company to Shopify for 8 figures. Perry's transformation began when he looked beyond his computer programming resume and noticed something simple. He genuinely enjoyed crafting grooming products. Your path to passive income often starts with recognizing what you already possess. Most people dismiss their natural abilities as too ordinary or assume everyone can do what they do well. This thinking costs them opportunities that could generate substantial income streams. Consider your daily conversations. What questions do people constantly ask you? Sarah Marquis noticed friends always sought her advice about organizing their homes. Instead of viewing this as casual chit-chat, she recognized a skill others valued. Today, her organizing consultation business generates over $5,000 monthly through online courses and virtual sessions. The exercise that changed everything for thousands of side hustlers comes from Chris Guillebeau's research. Write down every compliment you've received in the past year. Not just work-related praise, but comments like, "You always know the best restaurants," or "You explain technology so clearly." Each compliment reveals a skill others find valuable. Tim Ferriss discovered this principle when he realized his Princeton thesis on neuroscience gave him expertise others would pay to access. Rather than viewing his research as academic work, he saw it as content for information products. This shift in perspective became foundational to his business empire. Your hobbies often contain hidden income potential. David Sitman Garland turned his passion for interviewing entrepreneurs into The Rise to the Top, which generates 6 figures annually through sponsorships and courses. He didn't need new skills. He needed to see his existing interest differently. The most overlooked talent source is your professional frustrations. What tasks do your coworkers struggle with that come naturally to you? What processes have you improved at every job? These pain points others experience often represent your greatest income opportunities. J.L. Collins built his wealth blog not because he was a financial expert, but because he'd learned simple investing principles through decades of mistakes. His straightforward explanations of complex concepts resonated with millions who felt overwhelmed by traditional financial advice. Start documenting your knowledge right now. Create a note on your phone titled, "Things I Know." Add one item daily for 30 days. Include everything from how to negotiate with contractors to which plants thrive in small apartments. This list becomes your idea inventory. The breakthrough happens when you stop waiting for the perfect business concept and start recognizing the valuable knowledge you already possess. Your next income stream might be hiding in plain sight, disguised as something you do naturally every day. Part 2. From Passion to Paycheck. Sarah Chen stared at her collection of handmade pottery gathering dust in her garage, never imagining these weekend creations would eventually replace her corporate salary. Like millions of others, she had dismissed her passion as just a hobby until a single Instagram post changed everything. The photo of her ceramic bowls garnered 500 comments and dozens of purchase requests within hours, proving that what energizes you personally often resonates powerfully with others. The transformation from passion to paycheck requires more than enthusiasm. It demands strategic thinking about market demand and sustainable execution. Michelle Schroeder-Gardner discovered this when she started a personal finance blog called Making Sense of Sense while working as a financial analyst. Initially sharing her debt payoff journey, she now earns over $100,000 monthly through affiliate marketing and courses. Her secret wasn't unique expertise, but authentic passion combined with consistent value delivery. Pat Flynn exemplifies this principle through his smart passive income empire, which began when he got laid off from his architecture job in 2008. Facing unemployment, he created a study guide for architecture exams, earning $7,908.55 in his first month. Flynn's breakthrough came from recognizing that his personal struggle represented a widespread need. He transformed his individual challenge into a solution that served thousands. The key lies in identifying where your genuine interests intersect with market problems. Ryan Kaji was 7 years old when his toy unboxing videos on YouTube began generating millions of views. His parents recognized his natural enthusiasm for toys could serve other children seeking product recommendations. Today, Ryan's world generates over $25 million annually, proving that passion expressed authentically finds its audience. Consider your daily activities through this lens. What topics do friends consistently ask you about? Which activities make you lose track of time? Graham Stephan parlayed his real estate knowledge into a YouTube channel with over 4 million subscribers, earning substantial passive income through ad revenue and course sales. His genuine excitement about financial independence translated into content that resonated with viewers seeking similar goals. The sustainability factor cannot be ignored. John Lee Dumas launched Entrepreneur on Fire podcast in 2012, conducting daily interviews despite having no media experience. His passion for entrepreneurship sustained him through early months of minimal income. Today, the show generates over $200,000 monthly through sponsorships and courses. Passion provides the fuel needed during inevitable challenging periods. Start by documenting what genuinely excites you. Create lists of topics you could discuss for hours without preparation. Notice patterns in your social media engagement and conversations. Michelle Obama's memoir became a bestseller because she shared authentic personal experiences rather than generic advice. Your unique perspective, filtered through genuine passion, becomes your competitive advantage. The most successful passion-based income streams solve real problems while energizing their creators. This alignment creates a sustainable cycle where increased engagement leads to better results, which fuels continued enthusiasm for the work ahead. Part 3. Mini experiments, big results. When Sarah Blakely cut the feet-off pantyhose in her apartment, she wasn't launching a billion-dollar empire. She was running a simple experiment. That crude prototype became Spanx, but only after she tested her theory with friends, strangers, and department store managers. The breakthrough came not from a perfect business plan, but from her willingness to try something small and see what happened. Most people overthink their first move toward passive income. They craft elaborate business plans, conduct extensive market research, and wait for the perfect moment that never arrives. Meanwhile, successful side hustlers like Chris Guillebeau, documented in his research, consistently follow a different approach. They run mini experiments. These are small, low-risk tests that validate ideas quickly and cheaply, often costing less than a dinner out. The beauty of mini experiments lies in their simplicity. Take Noah Kagan, who started AppSumo by spending just $50 on a simple landing page to test demand for discounted software deals. Within 48 hours, he had his answer and his first customers. No fancy office, no employees, no complex systems, just a basic test that proved people wanted what he was offering. Setting up your own mini experiment requires 3 elements: a hypothesis, a minimal viable test, and clear success metrics. Your hypothesis might be local pet owners would pay for dog walking services. Your test could involve posting on neighborhood social media groups, offering walks for 5 dogs at $20 each. Your success metric might be booking 3 walks within 1 week. Tim Ferriss revolutionized this thinking by testing business ideas before fully committing to them. He'd create simple Google Ads campaigns to gauge interest in potential products, measuring click-through rates and email signups without building anything substantial. If the response was lukewarm, he'd pivot. If it was strong, he'd double down. The key is treating failure as data, not defeat. When Michelle Obama's initial book proposal was rejected multiple times, each no provided valuable feedback that shaped her eventual bestseller. Similarly, your failed experiments teach you what your market actually wants versus what you think they want. Start by brainstorming 5 potential side hustle ideas, then rank them by ease of testing. Can you validate the concept with a weekend farmers market booth? A simple Facebook post? A conversation with 10 potential customers? The faster you can test, the faster you'll discover what works. Consider Drew Houston's approach with Dropbox. Instead of building the entire file-sharing platform first, he created a simple video demonstrating the concept. The overwhelming positive response validated his idea before he wrote a single line of complex code. Your experiments don't need to be perfect. They need to be informative. Each test moves you closer to a viable passive income stream while keeping your risk minimal and your learning maximum. Part 4. Small Ideas, Mighty Impact. When Sarah Blakely cut the feet off her pantyhose in 1998, she had no idea this simple solution to her wardrobe problem would eventually make her the world's youngest self-made female billionaire. Her moment of frustration led to Spanx, a company that redefined an entire industry. Sometimes the most powerful business ideas hide in plain sight, masquerading as everyday annoyances or minor improvements to existing solutions. The beauty of transformational side hustles lies not in their complexity, but in their simplicity. Consider Pat Flynn, who created a study guide for architecture students after struggling with the exams himself. What began as a select PDF download generated $7,908.55 in its first month. Flynn simply identified a problem he'd personally experienced and created a straightforward solution. This single digital product eventually evolved into Smart Passive Income, a multi-million-dollar business empire. The ripple effect of starting small creates opportunities that extend far beyond initial income. Michelle Phan began making YouTube makeup tutorials in her bedroom, using a $7 webcam from eBay. Her simple idea of sharing beauty tips grew into a cosmetics empire worth hundreds of millions. Each tutorial built upon the last, creating a compound effect that transformed both her financial situation and career trajectory. What makes these stories remarkable isn't the uniqueness of the initial ideas, it's the execution. Spanx wasn't the first shapewear, Flynn's study guide wasn't revolutionary educational content, and Phan wasn't the only person making makeup videos. They succeeded because they started with manageable concepts and improved them incrementally. The middleman approach offers another powerful path to impact. Ryan Kahn noticed college students struggled to find internships while companies needed interns. He created Hired My Way, connecting both sides through a simple platform. By 2015, his company had helped over 100,000 students find opportunities. Kahn didn't create internships or students. He simply built a bridge between existing demand and supply. Starting small forces you to focus on core value rather than elaborate features. When you can only invest $100 and 10 hours per week, every decision must count. This constraint often leads to cleaner, more focused solutions that customers actually want. The elaborate business plan becomes secondary to solving real problems for real people. These modest beginnings also provide invaluable learning experiences with manageable consequences. Each small failure teaches lessons without catastrophic financial risk. Each small success builds confidence and provides capital for the next experiment. The cumulative effect creates momentum that compounds over time, turning tiny actions into significant outcomes. Your next breakthrough might be hiding in something you already do naturally, a problem you've solved for yourself, or a connection you can facilitate between others. The question isn't whether you have $1 million idea. It's whether you're willing to start with $1-a-day idea and let it grow. Chapter 3. Building with Bravery. Part 1. Starting Simple. When Pat Flynn first decided to create his architecture exam study guides in 2008, he didn't have a website, advanced design skills, or marketing expertise. He had Microsoft Word, basic internet knowledge, and desperation after getting laid off. That simple PDF guide eventually became the foundation of smart passive income, generating millions in revenue. Flynn's story proves a fundamental truth. The biggest obstacle to building passive income isn't lack of resources. It's waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Most people believe they need sophisticated systems, expensive tools, and years of preparation before starting any income-generating venture. This mindset keeps them perpetually stuck in planning mode. Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn's founder, famously said that launching a product before you're completely ready feels like jumping off a cliff and assembling your parachute on the way down. The discomfort is normal, but waiting for certainty guarantees you'll never jump at all. Consider Michelle, a nurse who started selling handmade soaps from her kitchen table in 2019. She used basic ingredients from the grocery store, packaged them in simple brown paper bags, and sold her first batch to coworkers for $15 each. Today, her soap business generates over $4,000 monthly in passive income through subscription boxes and wholesale accounts. She didn't start with a business plan or professional branding. She started with action. The most successful passive income builders share a common trait. They begin before they feel ready. Tim Ferriss tested his first supplement idea by creating a simple landing page and running Google Ads to gauge interest before manufacturing a single bottle. When orders started coming in, he knew he had a viable product. This approach, testing first, building second, saves countless hours and prevents expensive mistakes. Your current resources are more powerful than you realize. Do you have expertise in anything? Can you explain concepts others find confusing? Have you solved problems that others face? These seemingly ordinary skills form the foundation of profitable ventures. David Perel built his writing course empire by simply sharing writing tips on Twitter. His first course was recorded with basic screen recording software and generated 6 figures within months. Start by asking yourself one question. What would happen if you launched something imperfect next week? Not next month or next year, next week. This timeline forces you to work with what you have rather than what you wish you had. Choose something embarrassingly simple: a basic PDF guide, a 1-hour consultation service, or a straightforward digital product. The goal isn't to create something perfect. It's to create something real that real people will pay real money for. Once you have that first transaction, everything changes. You've crossed the invisible line between dreamer and entrepreneur. From there, improvement happens naturally through customer feedback and iterative refinement. Your first passive income stream won't make you rich immediately, but it will teach you something invaluable: that building income outside traditional employment is not only possible, but surprisingly achievable when you stop overthinking and start creating. Part 2. Learning by doing. Sarah Johnson never intended to become a YouTube educator when she uploaded her first Excel tutorial in 2019. Working as an accountant in Detroit, she filmed herself solving spreadsheet problems that stumped her coworkers, using her phone propped against coffee mugs. The lighting was terrible, her voice shook with nerves, and she forgot to explain half the steps. Yet, within weeks, strangers were commenting with gratitude and asking for more videos. That rough beginning taught her something business schools rarely mention. Your audience teaches you how to serve them better, but only if you're brave enough to start before you're ready. Real learning happens when money changes hands and real people judge your work. Marcus Chen discovered this when his first coding bootcamp attracted only 3 students instead of the 20 he'd hoped for. Instead of viewing this as failure, he treated those 3 participants as his research partners. He asked detailed questions about their struggles, observed where they got confused, and adjusted his teaching style mid-session. By the end of that small cohort, he'd gathered more valuable feedback than months of planning could have provided. The most successful side hustlers treat every interaction as data collection. When Lisa Rodriguez launched her meal planning service for busy parents, her initial templates were overly complicated and time-consuming. Customer complaints felt discouraging at first, but she learned to see them as free consulting sessions. One frustrated mother's email led Lisa to create simplified 15-minute meal plans that became her best-selling product. What felt like criticism was actually her market telling her exactly what they needed. Experience builds competence faster than theory ever could. David Park started his online guitar lessons knowing barely more than his students. Each lesson forced him to stay one step ahead, researching techniques and practicing frantically between sessions. This pressure cooker learning environment accelerated his skills beyond what years of casual practice might have achieved. His students watched him grow alongside them, creating an authentic connection that polished instructors often struggle to match. The feedback loop between action and improvement creates momentum that pure planning cannot generate. Every customer interaction reveals gaps in your knowledge or service delivery. Every mistake shows you exactly where to focus your learning efforts next. This targeted education feels different from abstract study because it solves real problems for real people who are paying real money. Your next step isn't to learn everything before you begin. Your next step is to identify one skill you can share today, package it simply, and find someone willing to pay for it. The education happens automatically once you start serving others. The gap between your current abilities and your customers' needs will pull you forward faster than any self-improvement plan ever could. Part 3. Failing Forward. Sarah Blakely lived through every entrepreneur's nightmare scenario when major retailers rejected her Spanx prototype over 40 times. Department store buyers told her the product was unnecessary, that women didn't need better undergarments, and that her idea would never work. Each rejection felt personal, crushing, and final. Yet Blakely's response to these rejections transformed her approach entirely. Instead of viewing each no as evidence that her idea was flawed, she treated it as market research. She asked follow-up questions during rejections, probed for specific concerns, and adjusted her pitch accordingly. When Neiman Marcus finally said yes, Blakely had refined her presentation so thoroughly that she knew exactly which benefits resonated with buyers. This mindset shift represents the difference between entrepreneurs who quit after their first setback and those who build million-dollar businesses. The most successful side hustlers don't experience fewer failures than everyone else. They simply interpret failure differently. Consider how James Dyson created 5,126 failed prototypes before perfecting his revolutionary vacuum cleaner. Each failure taught him something specific about airflow, suction, traction, and angle play, or design that he couldn't have learned from books or market research. His failures weren't obstacles to success. They were the actual path to success. When your first online course receives harsh reviews, when potential clients ghost you after initial interest, or when your freelance project gets canceled unexpectedly, you're experiencing the exact same challenges that every successful side hustler has faced. The question isn't whether you'll encounter setbacks. The question is how quickly you'll extract useful information from each one. Tim Ferriss famously practiced fear-setting exercises before launching his supplement business. He would write down the worst-case scenarios he feared, then develop specific action plans for each possibility. This preparation didn't eliminate failures, but it removed the paralyzing uncertainty that keeps most people from starting. When rejection happens, ask specific questions. What exactly didn't work? Which part of your offer felt unclear or unappealing? What would make them reconsider in the future? These conversations often reveal insights that transform your entire approach. Chris Guillebeau documented how successful side hustlers typically pivot 3 to 5 times before finding their profitable niche. Each pivot isn't a restart. It's course correction based on real market feedback. The entrepreneurs earning consistent passive income today didn't succeed because they avoided failure. They succeeded because they treated each failure as expensive education they couldn't get anywhere else. Your setbacks aren't evidence that you should quit. They're proof that you're actually in the game. Part 4. Getting your first win. When Sarah Chen made her first $50 selling custom productivity planners on Etsy, she literally screenshotted her PayPal notification and texted it to 5 friends. That moment transformed everything, not because $50 changed her life, but because it proved something she'd only hoped was true. Real people would actually pay for something she created. Your first win doesn't need to be massive. It just needs to be real. Tim Ferriss famously made his first $3,000 selling a brain supplement called Brain Quicken to Princeton classmates before building his empire. David Lindahl started by selling a $39 real estate course through a simple classified ad. These weren't life-changing amounts, but they were proof of concept. The magic happens in your mindset shift. Before that first sale, you're playing pretend. After it, you're officially in business. That psychological barrier between thinking about it and doing it dissolves completely. Chris Guillebeau documented this phenomenon across hundreds of side hustlers. The first dollar always feels more significant than the thousandth. Getting there requires brutal clarity about what you're offering and who wants it. Joel Combs' research shows successful online entrepreneurs spend 80% of their energy on defining their offer before worrying about websites or marketing funnels. Write down exactly what problem you solve in one sentence. If you can't explain it simply, your customers won't understand it either. Your network becomes your first testing ground. When Aubrey Hall launched her coaching practice, she didn't buy ads or build elaborate funnels. She sent personal messages to 30 former colleagues explaining her new service. 3 responded positively. 1 became her first paying client within a week. The $100 startup philosophy works because it forces you to validate demand before investing heavily in infrastructure. Leverage what J.L. Collins calls social proof momentum. Your first customer becomes evidence for your second. Sarah Chen used her initial Etsy reviews to attract more buyers. Each positive interaction built credibility that compounded over time. Document these early wins obsessively. Screenshots, testimonials, feedback, everything becomes ammunition for future marketing. Set micro goals that feel achievable within 30 days. Rather than aiming for $1,000 monthly recurring revenue immediately, target your first paying customer. Robert Kiyosaki emphasizes that assets generating even small amounts of passive income teach you lessons that theoretical knowledge cannot provide. Celebrate genuinely when it happens. That first notification, payment, or customer email deserves recognition. Everett Bogue suggests treating early wins as validation of your business model, not just income. They prove your concept works in the real world with real money changing hands. The confidence boost from your first win creates unstoppable momentum. You stop asking if and start asking how much and how fast. That shift in thinking transforms everything that follows. Your first victory becomes the foundation for building something much larger. Chapter 4. Earning on Autopilot, Part 1. Turning effort into assets. What if you could work once and get paid repeatedly for years? This is the fundamental shift that separates temporary side hustles from lasting wealth creation. The difference lies in building assets instead of simply trading time for money. Consider Pat Flynn, who lost his architecture job in 2008 and created a simple study guide for aspiring architects. Instead of tutoring students individually, he packaged his knowledge into a digital course. Today, smart passive income generates millions annually, while Pat focuses on strategic growth rather than daily operations. The initial effort of creating the course transformed into an asset that continues producing revenue. This transformation requires a mental shift from employee to asset builder. When working for others, you exchange hours for dollars. When building assets, you invest time up front to create something that generates ongoing returns. Think of it like planting an apple tree versus picking apples for someone else's orchard. Graham Stephan, a real estate agent turned YouTube creator, exemplifies this principle perfectly. Rather than relying solely on commissions, he documented his knowledge through videos and courses. His real estate expertise became digital products that sell continuously. One course creation session now serves thousands of students, generating revenue while he sleeps. The key is identifying what you already know that others need to learn. Michelle Schroeder-Gardner turned her personal finance journey into making sense of sense, now earning over $100,000 monthly through courses and affiliate marketing. She documented her debt payoff process once and continues earning from that initial effort years later. Digital products offer the clearest path from effort to asset. Unlike physical products requiring inventory and shipping, digital assets scale infinitely. Amy Porterfield built a multi-million-dollar business teaching online course creation. Her signature course, Digital Course Academy, sells repeatedly without requiring additional production costs per unit. The automation aspect cannot be overstated. Jeff Walker's product launch formula generates millions through automated email sequences and evergreen webinars. Students purchase his course through systems that run independently, demonstrating how properly built assets function without constant oversight. However, building assets demands patience and consistent effort up front. Ryan Kaji's parents started filming toy reviews when he was 3. Today, Ryan's world generates millions through YouTube ad revenue, merchandise, and licensing deals. The initial videos required significant time investment before producing substantial returns. The most successful asset builders focus on solving specific problems repeatedly. Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich started as a blog addressing young professionals' financial concerns. This single focus evolved into courses, books, and coaching programs, all serving the same core audience with related solutions. Start by documenting your existing expertise. Whether through courses, ebooks, or membership sites, package your knowledge into formats that serve customers without requiring your constant presence. The goal is creating systems where your past effort continues generating future income, transforming temporary work into permanent wealth-building assets. Part 2. Sleep, Earn, Repeat. Sarah Chen was earning $847 last month while vacationing in Thailand. Her Shopify store, selling organizational planners to busy professionals, processed orders automatically through print-on-demand fulfillment. Payment notifications pinged her phone as she explored Bangkok temples, each sale requiring zero additional effort from her. This represents the holy grail of income generation, systems that function independently of your direct involvement. Unlike traditional employment where income stops when work stops, automated income streams continue operating around the clock. The mechanics behind this financial freedom rest on 3 fundamental components: automated customer acquisition, streamlined fulfillment, and recurring revenue models. Consider Pat Flynn's smart passive income empire, which began with an iPhone app study guide. Flynn created the product once, then built systems for marketing, sales, and customer service that operated without his constant supervision. Today, his automated courses and affiliate recommendations generate substantial monthly income while he focuses on high-level strategy rather than daily operations. The foundation of any automated system starts with choosing platforms that handle core functions independently. Shopify manages inventory and payments. ConvertKit nurtures email subscribers automatically. Teachable delivers course content to students. These platforms become your digital employees, working continuously without sick days or vacation requests. Michelle Schroeder-Gardner from Making Sense of Sense demonstrates this principle through affiliate marketing automation. She writes detailed reviews once, optimizes them for search engines, then earns commissions for years as readers discover her content organically. Her blog posts from 2015 still generate income today, proving that well-constructed systems compound over time. Setting up payment systems correctly proves crucial for automation success. Stripe and PayPal process transactions instantly, while tools like Zapier connect different platforms seamlessly. When someone purchases a course, The system automatically sends login credentials, adds them to relevant email sequences, and updates your accounting records. No human intervention required. Ryan Kahn built a subscription service teaching job interview skills. After creating initial video content and setting up automated billing through Stripe, new subscribers join monthly, while existing members receive fresh content automatically. His income predictability increased dramatically because recurring revenue models create consistent cash flow regardless of his daily activities. The optimization phase separates successful automation from failed attempts. Track metrics religiously: conversion rates, customer acquisition costs, lifetime value. A/B test everything from email subject lines to product descriptions. Small improvements compound significantly when multiplied across thousands of automated interactions. However, automation requires substantial upfront effort. Creating quality products, building email sequences, and optimizing systems demands intense initial work. The payoff arrives later when these systems operate independently, generating income while you sleep, travel, or focus on building additional streams. Success stories like Graham Stephan's real estate YouTube channel illustrate long-term potential. His educational content attracts viewers continuously, generating ad revenue and affiliate commissions automatically. Each video becomes a permanent asset, working indefinitely to produce income without ongoing effort from Graham. Part 3. The Power of Multiple Streams. When Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income podcast accidentally crashed due to overwhelming demand, he discovered something remarkable about income diversification. While his main product faced technical difficulties, revenue continued flowing from his affiliate partnerships, course sales, and membership site. That single incident revealed why diversification matters more than perfection in any individual stream. Building multiple income streams resembles managing a garden rather than betting on a single crop. Just as farmers plant various vegetables to ensure harvest security, smart entrepreneurs cultivate different revenue sources to weather economic seasons. When one stream slows, others maintain momentum. Consider Chris Guillebeau's approach after launching his first successful online course. Rather than doubling down on education alone, he expanded into book royalties, speaking fees, and consulting contracts. This strategy protected him when the online course market became saturated. Each stream required different skills, but shared common foundations of audience building and value creation. The mathematics of diversification work in your favor. If you earn $500 monthly from affiliate marketing, $300 from digital products, $400 from freelance services, and $200 from rental income, losing one stream still leaves you with substantial earnings. Compare this to relying entirely on a $1,400 single source that could disappear overnight. Tim Ferriss exemplifies strategic diversification through complementary streams. His books generate royalties, his podcast attracts sponsors, his investments provide returns, and his speaking engagements command premium fees. Each activity reinforces the others while targeting different revenue models and risk profiles. The key lies in choosing streams that share resources efficiently. A fitness instructor might sell workout programs online, offer personal training sessions, earn affiliate commissions from equipment recommendations, and rent out studio space. These activities leverage common expertise while diversifying delivery methods and payment structures. Balancing multiple streams requires systems thinking rather than equal attention splitting. Some streams demand daily maintenance, like freelance services, while others operate passively, like dividend stocks or rental properties. Successful diversifiers typically maintain 2 to 3 active streams alongside several passive ones. Start with what you know, then expand methodically. If you excel at graphic design, begin with client work, create digital templates for passive sales, build an online course teaching your techniques, and eventually develop software tools. Each step builds upon previous expertise while reducing dependency on any single income source. The resilience factor cannot be overstated. During economic downturns, luxury services might decline while essential products maintain demand. Having streams across different sectors and price points creates natural hedging against market volatility. Most importantly, multiple streams compound learning and opportunity recognition. Managing affiliate partnerships teaches you about different industries. Creating digital products develops technical skills. Rental properties provide real estate knowledge. This diverse experience often leads to discovering your most profitable and sustainable long-term opportunities. The goal is not maximum streams, but optimal balance between stability, growth potential, and personal energy investment. Part 4. Lessons from the long run. When Amy Chen launched her first digital course in 2018, she expected to make a few $100s. 5 years later, that same course generates $8,000 monthly while she focuses on new projects. The difference? Amy learned what separates fleeting side income from sustainable wealth building. The most successful passive income creators share a counterintuitive truth. They obsess over metrics that others ignore. While beginners chase vanity numbers like follower counts, veterans track customer lifetime value, churn rates, and profit margins per hour invested. David Lindahl discovered this when his real estate courses started declining. Instead of creating more content, he analyzed completion rates. Students weren't finishing existing materials. By simplifying his 12-hour course into digestible 20-minute modules, completion rates jumped 300% and sales doubled. Smart operators also embrace the 80-20 rule relentlessly. Chris Guillebeau documented how successful side hustlers identify their highest impact activities within 6 months of starting. They ruthlessly eliminate or automate everything else. Joel, who built a $2 million info product empire, spends just 2 hours weekly on customer service by creating comprehensive FAQ pages and automated email sequences that answer 90% of inquiries. The sustainability factor requires brutal honesty about market shifts. Tim Ferriss emphasizes that passive income streams need regular health checks. What worked in 2020 might fail in 2024. Successful creators allocate 20% of their time to experimentation and adaptation. When iOS privacy changes devastated traditional affiliate marketing, smart marketers had already diversified into email lists and direct partnerships. Customer feedback becomes your compass for long-term growth. J.L. Collins built his investment blog empire by listening to reader questions and creating content around recurring themes. This organic approach generates consistent traffic and affiliate income years later. The key insight: sustainable passive income solves persistent problems, not trending topics. The motivation challenge hits everyone after the initial excitement fades. Successful side hustlers create accountability systems beyond willpower. They track daily metrics in simple spreadsheets, join mastermind groups, or schedule quarterly reviews with trusted advisors. Aubrey Hall recommends the 1% rule. Improving any single aspect of your system by 1% weekly compounds dramatically over time. Perhaps most importantly, veterans treat passive income as a portfolio, not a lottery ticket. They reinvest profits into new streams. Test different markets and maintain multiple backup plans. When one stream falters, others compensate. This diversification approach transforms side hustles from risky experiments into reliable wealth-building machines. The journey never truly ends. Markets evolve, technology advances, and customer needs change. Those who thrive view adaptation as opportunity, not obstacle. They stay curious, keep learning, and remember that today's passive income success funds tomorrow's bigger experiments. Chapter 5. Stories from the Side, Part 1. Ordinary People, Extraordinary Hustles. When Michelle Tran's teaching salary couldn't stretch to cover her student loans and rising rent in San Francisco, she had no grand business plans. The elementary school teacher simply started selling handmade jewelry at weekend farmers markets to make ends meet. Within 2 years, her Etsy shop was generating $3,000 monthly while she slept, transforming her financial reality without sacrificing her passion for education. Michelle's story mirrors thousands of others who discovered that extraordinary results don't require extraordinary people. Take Dave Morrison, a 52-year-old factory worker from Ohio who faced layoffs after 30 years on the job. With no computer skills beyond checking email, Dave learned to flip thrift store finds on eBay. His first sale was a vintage coffee mug for $15 profit. Today, his systematic approach to sourcing and reselling generates over $2,000 monthly, providing security his factory job never could. The beauty of these transformations lies in their ordinariness. Sarah Chen, a busy mother of 3, started a meal planning blog while her toddlers napped. She shared simple recipes and grocery lists with other overwhelmed parents. Through affiliate partnerships with meal delivery services and her own digital planning templates, Sarah now earns $4,500 monthly from content she creates in stolen moments between school pickups and soccer practice. These individuals share common traits that anyone can develop. They started small, focused on problems they understood intimately, and remained consistently persistent despite initial failures. Michelle sold exactly 0 pieces of jewelry her first market day. Dave's early eBay attempts resulted in losses when he misunderstood shipping costs. Sarah's blog attracted just her mom and sister for the first 6 months. What distinguishes successful side hustlers isn't special talent or insider knowledge. It's their willingness to begin before feeling ready and to learn through doing rather than endless planning. Tom Rodriguez, a retired postal worker, exemplifies this approach. At 68, he started creating instructional videos about woodworking, something he'd enjoyed as a hobby for decades. His YouTube channel now generates steady income through advertising revenue and sales of his digital project plans. The paths these individuals chose reflect their unique circumstances and interests. A college student tutors online, a nurse sells handmade soaps, a mechanic teaches car maintenance through video courses. There's no universal blueprint because success emerges from matching personal strengths with market needs, not following someone else's exact formula. What matters most is recognizing yourself in these stories. Each person started exactly where you are now, with doubts, limited resources, and competing responsibilities. Their extraordinary results came from ordinary daily actions, repeated consistently over time. The question isn't whether you have what it takes to build something meaningful. The question is which problem you're uniquely positioned to solve. Part 2. The Reluctant Entrepreneur. Sarah Martinez never considered herself entrepreneurial material. As a registered nurse working 12-hour shifts at a Chicago hospital, she barely had energy left for her family, let alone business ventures. Yet today, she earns $3,200 monthly from selling digital meal prep guides to fellow healthcare workers. Her transformation began not with ambition, but with exhaustion. After months of grabbing expensive cafeteria food during rushed breaks, Sarah started batch cooking nutritious meals at home. Colleagues noticed her energy levels improving and asked for her recipes. What started as sharing meal plans with a few coworkers evolved into a structured system when Sarah realized other healthcare professionals faced identical challenges. She spent 2 weekends creating a simple PDF guide and sold 40 copies at $15 each through Facebook groups for nurses. The reluctant entrepreneur emerges from necessity rather than dreams of riches. Consider Mike Thompson, a laid-off automotive engineer who started fixing neighbors' appliances to pay rent. His practical troubleshooting skills, honed through years in manufacturing, proved invaluable when applied to household problems. Within 6 months, Mike's weekend repair service generated more income than his previous corporate salary. He never imagined himself as a service business owner, yet his engineering background provided exactly what frustrated homeowners needed. These accidental entrepreneurs share common traits that traditional business advice often overlooks. They solve problems they personally understand. Sarah knew healthcare workers' time constraints because she lived them daily. Mike understood mechanical failures because he spent decades preventing them. Their reluctance actually became an advantage, forcing them to start small and validate demand before investing significant resources. The mindset shift happens gradually. David Chen, a quiet accountant, began creating Excel templates for small business owners after repeatedly answering similar questions from clients. His introverted nature made networking events torture, but his methodical approach to financial organization resonated with overwhelmed entrepreneurs. Chen's template library now generates $2,800 monthly while he maintains his day job. What distinguishes reluctant entrepreneurs from traditional business owners is their practical approach. They test ideas with minimal investment, often starting with skills they already possess. A teacher creates online courses about classroom management. A mechanic produces how-to videos for car maintenance. A parent develops organizational systems for busy families. The key insight these stories reveal is that entrepreneurial success doesn't require a specific personality type or background. Sometimes the best business ideas emerge from solving your own problems well enough that others notice and want similar solutions. The reluctance that initially holds people back often ensures they build sustainable, customer-focused ventures rather than pursuing flashy concepts without real market validation. Your existing knowledge and daily challenges might contain tomorrow's income stream. The question isn't whether you have entrepreneurial DNA. The question is which problem you solve regularly that others would pay to learn about. Part 3. Courage in the Everyday. Sarah Martinez spent 3 months staring at the Post Your First Course button on Teachable. The former high school math teacher had developed innovative ways to help struggling students master algebra, and colleagues kept urging her to share these methods online. Yet every evening, she'd close her laptop without clicking submit. The courage to transform personal expertise into income often hides behind perfectionism and fear of judgment. The mythology of entrepreneurial courage paints dramatic pictures of bold risk-takers betting everything on revolutionary ideas. Reality tells a different story. Most successful side hustlers describe their journey as a series of small, uncomfortable steps rather than heroic leaps. David Chen, a software engineer from Portland, started his photography business by nervously approaching one coffee shop owner about displaying his landscape prints. That single conversation eventually led to a thriving art business generating $3,000 monthly. Courage in side hustling rarely involves quitting your job or investing life savings. Instead, it manifests in mundane moments that feel surprisingly difficult. Sending that first email to a potential customer, recording a video despite disliking your voice, asking friends to share your new service on social media. These micro acts of bravery accumulate into business momentum. Consider Jennifer Walsh, a pediatric nurse who transforms her evening dog walks into pet-sitting income. Her first act of courage wasn't launching a formal business. It was simply telling neighbors she could help with their pets during vacations. 6 months later, she manages 15 regular clients and has waitlisted 20 more. The transition happened through daily conversations and small commitments, not grand announcements. Research from Stanford's Carol Dweck shows that courage operates like a muscle, strengthening through consistent use rather than single dramatic efforts. Side hustlers who thrive practice what psychologists call graduated exposure, deliberately seeking slightly uncomfortable situations that expand their comfort zones. Marcus Thompson, who built a $50,000 annual income teaching guitar online, started by posting one 30-second video weekly. Each upload felt terrifying initially, but repetition transformed anxiety into routine confidence. The fear of failure often masks deeper concerns about judgment from family, friends, or colleagues. Amy Rodriguez delayed launching her meal prep service for working parents because she worried about seeming pushy or salesy. Her breakthrough came when she reframed her service as solving genuine problems rather than imposing on others. Within 8 weeks of shifting this mindset, she had 30 recurring customers. Asking for help represents another courage milestone. Successful side hustlers actively seek advice, feedback, and collaboration rather than attempting solo perfection. They join online communities, attend local meetups, and directly message people whose businesses they admire. This willingness to appear inexperienced while learning accelerates progress significantly. Every rejection, confused customer interaction, and technical mishap builds resilience and practical knowledge. The goal isn't eliminating fear, but acting despite its presence. Tomorrow's income streams often emerge from today's uncomfortable conversations and imperfect first attempts. Your next small act of courage might launch the passive income that changes everything. Part 4. What I wish I knew when Sarah Chen's first rental property began generating profit after 18 months of breakdowns and difficult tenants. She wished someone had warned her that passive income requires active patience. The marketing courses promised quick returns, but reality delivered slower timelines and steeper learning curves. Her biggest mistake was expecting immediate results from ventures that needed time to mature. Most newcomers underestimate the setup phase intensity. David Rodriguez spent 3 months creating his online course before earning his first dollar, working evenings and weekends while maintaining his teaching job. He discovered that passive income demands significant upfront effort. The automation happens later, after systems prove themselves through initial manual operation. Cash flow timing catches many beginners off guard. Jennifer Walsh's affiliate marketing income fluctuated wildly during her first year, ranging from $50 to $800 monthly with no predictable pattern. She learned to maintain 6 months of living expenses before reducing her full-time hours. The feast or famine cycles are normal, but planning for valleys prevents panic decisions during low-earning periods. Technology overwhelm represents another common stumbling block. When Mark Thompson launched his dropshipping store, he spent $2,000 on unnecessary tools and subscriptions before realizing that simple solutions often outperform complex ones. Starting with basic platforms and upgrading gradually saves money and reduces confusion. Perfect systems aren't required for profitable beginnings. The comparison trap destroys confidence quickly. Instagram showcases highlight reels while hiding the mundane daily work behind successful ventures. Lisa Park wasted months switching between different passive income strategies because others seemed to progress faster. Consistency within chosen methods produces better results than constant strategy changes based on external appearances. Family and friends often provide unexpected resistance. When James Miller's consulting income exceeded his corporate salary, relatives questioned his unstable choice despite obvious financial improvement. Preparing for skepticism and maintaining supportive communities helps weather social pressure to return to traditional employment models. Mental resilience proves more crucial than technical skills. The most successful side hustlers treat setbacks as data rather than defeat. They ask specific questions. Which marketing channels generated actual sales? What customer complaints reveal improvement opportunities? How can current systems handle double the volume? Documentation prevents repeated mistakes. Keeping simple records of what works, what fails, and why saves enormous time during scaling phases. When Michelle Foster expanded her handmade jewelry business, her early experiment notes helped avoid previous supplier problems and pricing errors. Starting before feeling ready accelerates learning more than extended preparation. Perfect knowledge isn't achievable through research alone. Real customer interactions, actual technical problems, and genuine market feedback provide education that no course delivers. The cost of early mistakes typically proves lower than the opportunity cost of delayed action. Your first passive income stream won't be your last or best. Each venture teaches skills applicable to future opportunities. The goal is progress, not perfection, and every small victory builds toward larger possibilities.